Hello and welcome to Music Tots Online. Are you ready to do some singing? Here's our first song. That's right, it's Sleeping Bunnies. Now you can stand up to hop on this one, but because of my camera I'm not going to be able to, so I'm just going to hop right here. Go to sleep, everybody. See the little bunnies sleeping till it's nearly noon. Shall we try and wake them with a merry tune? Oh, so still are they ill? Wake up soon. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop, little bunnies, hop, hop, hop. Hop and stop. Well done. Let's see what our next song is. It's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Get your stars ready. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. I wonder what our next song's going to be. Shall we find out? It's those 5 little men in the flying saucer. Get your little men. 5 little men in a flying saucer flew round the world one day. They looked left and right, but they didn't like the sight, so one man flew away. Whoosh! 4 little men in a flying saucer flew round the world one day. They looked left and right, but they didn't like the sight, so one man flew away. Whoosh! 3 little men in a flying saucer flew round the world one day. They looked left and right, but they didn't like the sight, so one man flew away. Whoosh! 2 little men in a flying saucer flew round the world one day. They looked left and right, but they didn't like the sight, so one man flew away. Whoosh! 1 little man in a flying saucer flew round the world one day. He looked left and right, but he didn't like the sight, so that man flew away. Whoosh! No more men in our flying saucer. What's our next song going to be? It's Miss Polly. Get your dollies. Miss Polly had a dolly who was sick, sick, sick. So she phoned for the doctor to be quick, quick, quick. The doctor came with his bag and his hat, and he knocked on the door with a rat-a-tat-tat. He looked at the dolly and he shook his head, and he said, Miss Polly, put her straight to bed. He wrote on a paper for a pill, pill, pill. I'll be back in the morning, yes I will. Good morning, doctor. Got 1 song left. I wonder what it's going to be. It's the marching ants. Can you get 2 ants to go marching? The ants went marching 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 2 by 2, the little one stopped to tie his shoe. They all went marching across the floor, under the door, out in the rain, zoom, zoom, zoom. The ants went marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 3 by 3, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 3 by 3, the little one stopped to climb a tree. And they all went marching across the floor, under the door, out in the rain. Zoom, zoom, zoom. The ants went marching 4x4, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 4x4, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 4x4. The little one stopped to knock on the door. They all went marching across the floor, under the door, out in the rain. Zoom, zoom, zoom. The ants went marching 5x5, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 5x5, hurrah, hurrah. The ants went marching 5x5. The little one stopped to do a jive. And they all went marching across the floor, under the door, out in the rain. Zoom, zoom, zoom. No more ants marching. Right, I'm going to head over to story time now. So I'll see you over there in a minute. Okay, so here we are in story time. And my story today is about a man called Noah. Now, if you've been watching for the last 2 weeks, you will know that God created the world. He created everything in it. And he created a man called Adam and a lady called Eve. And he gave them a garden and he told them they must not eat from one tree. But then a snake entered the garden and convinced Eve to do the wrong thing. And so badness entered the world. We're a little further on in the Bible now with this man named Noah. And in the world, people were still doing the wrong thing. They were fighting, they were stealing, they were hurting God's world and God's people. So God said, this just won't do. This is not the world I wanted. So I'm going to clean it. The world is dirty. I'm going to clean it and I'm going to start again. Well, I'm going to start almost from the beginning. You see, there was a man called Noah. Noah was a good man. He was doing the right thing all the time. So God decided, I'm going to get this man to help me. So he went to Noah and he said, Noah, build me a boat. Not a little boat. I need a great big boat, a humongous boat, a boat big enough for lots of animals to live on. This boat is called an ark. Now, I think if I was asked to build an ark, I'd probably struggle to do it on my own. But even though it might have been a struggle, Noah did it. He built the ark. It was huge and it was amazing. When the ark was finished, God came to Noah and he said, right, I need you to get at least 2 of each animal onto the ark. That's 2 of every cat, 2 dogs, 2 lions, 2 tigers, 2 bears, 2 tiny little animals too. Every single animal must have at least 2 on the ark. And also, you will get on the ark. You will take your wife, you will take your sons, and you will take your sons' wives. So that's what Noah did. Noah took all of those animals and all of his family onto the ark. And when it was ready, when it was full, he closed the door. And the rain came. And it rained. And it rained. And it rained. And it rained. And it kept raining for 40 days. Now, 40 days is longer than a month now. So it was a lot of rain and it did not stop at all in those 40 days. But of course, it did eventually stop. But when the rain stopped, the water was still covering the world. So Noah had to wait. As the water levels dropped, he sent out a bird called a dove. And that dove came back with nothing. So Noah knew it was not time to open the doors yet, the world was too wet. A little while later, God sent the dove out again. And this time when it came back with an olive branch in its beak. So Noah knew that the world was drying, but it wasn't there yet. It wasn't quite dry yet. When Noah sent the dove out for a third time, it didn't come back. And by this, Noah knew that the world was dry, the waters had cleared. It was now time to open the doors to the ark and let all the animals out and send them back all over the world. After this happened, God made a promise then to Noah and a promise to you and me today. And that promise was that he would never send a great flood to flood the world again. And God has kept that promise. Sometimes we hear of floods in different parts of the world, but God has never, since the days of Noah, flooded the entire world. And as a symbol of his promise, God painted a rainbow across the sky. So when you see a rainbow in the rain, you can remember what God has promised you. And that's the end of our story for today. Now I'm going to head over to our craft area where we're going to make something to remind us of our story. I'll see you there in a minute. Okay, so here we are in craft time. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a go at making a boat. What you need is a piece of cardboard. This is just off a cereal box, a pencil, a glue stick, and a pair of scissors. Now remember, with scissors, you must be very careful and get a grown-up to help you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold our cardboard in half. So it needs to fold in half long ways. You might need to get a little bit of help because it's very tough to do this. Okay, now it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. So that's half of my cardboard. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from the corner down in a diagonal direction. And you can see it all the way down. And the same on the other side, all the way down. There you go. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to draw another line just underneath it so that I've got something to glue once I've cut it out. So again, just a line going down, a line going down. There we go. So all of this area here and this area here is just going to be cut off with my scissors. So we're going to cut along the lower of your two lines. Okay, hopefully you've made sure that the fold is at the bottom. If not, do it again because the fold needs to be at the bottom. So once you've cut it out, you should have, having just cut along those lines, is something that looks a little bit like this, with a line going down on each side. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut just along the fold to just where the line meets the fold on each side. Again, make sure you get some help because you're using scissors and scissors can be very sharp. Okay, so you should have just a little bit of a slit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold along that line and fold it just inside your cardboard. Okay. So now you should have something that looks like this. And the other side of this box should look like this, with a little bit like that. And this is where we're going to put some glue. If you put some glue on those bits for me. There we go. Make sure you've got enough glue for it to stick, because sometimes Doesn't stick very well to shiny. And of course, if you're using a cereal box, you'll have a shiny bit of card. We're just going to fold that over, give it a good push down. There you go, so you should now have something that looks like this. We're going to do exactly the same on this side. We're going to glue this bit and glue this bit and fold them over. Just give it a good bit of glue on that side and on the other side. And just fold those bits over. There we go. So you now should have something that looks like this. Now you can decorate yours if you want to. I have one here that has a rainbow on it to remind me of the story. You can put whatever you want on yours. And that is the craft for today to remind us of the story. Let's pop this over here with my other crafts from the rest of the weeks. Now, next week, we would normally be meeting at church because it's half term. So we'd be meeting at church to build scarecrows and do lots of fun activities. But of course, we can't meet at the moment. So instead of meeting at church, you can join us right here on the internet, on the YouTube channel that you're watching me on right now. The whole team are going to be here, or most of the team are going to be here. You can join us for some fun, some songs, some crafts, and some story. And I'll see you here next week for that, for Holiday Club Extra. See you later. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.